My dear friends, what if the waiting, the delays and the struggles are not setbacks, but part of God's perfect plan, shaping you into the person you're meant to be? What if true success isn't about rushing or forcing your way, but about trusting a divine timing that is always just right? Today, we're diving deep into the mindset of high achievers. Not the world's definition, but God's. This is about embracing patience fueled by faith, finding strength in hidden seasons, recognizing spiritual battles as signs you're close to victory, and learning to trust a timing that only an eternal God can orchestrate. Stay with me till the end, because what you're about to hear could transform the way you view your journey, ignite hope in your heart, and equip you to walk boldly into the destiny God has prepared for you. The true achievement in the eyes of God begins not with relentless striving or sheer human effort, but with a deep and intentional surrender. Many in the world measure success by how much they hustle, how many goals they reach, or how visible their accomplishments are. But in the kingdom of God, the mindset of a high achiever is radically different. It starts with recognizing that our plans, talents, and ambitions are gifts from God and not trophies we claim by our own strength. To truly achieve, we must first relinquish control, laying down our will and inviting God to direct every step of our journey. This surrender is not defeat. It is the highest form of strength, because it acknowledges God as the ultimate source of all wisdom and power. When we surrender, we align ourselves with God's greater purpose. It's tempting to believe that achievement depends solely on our persistence or cleverness, but true success comes when we partner with the divine. This partnership requires humility, the willingness to admit that our understanding is limited and that God's ways are higher than ours. It means trusting that even when our goals seem delayed or the path is unclear, God is working behind the scenes to orchestrate every detail for our good and His glory. This surrender also guards us against burnout and frustration. Those who push relentlessly without yielding to God's guidance often find themselves exhausted and discouraged. But the high achiever who learns to wait on God's leading discovers a deep peace and confidence that transcends circumstances. They know that their efforts, when surrendered, are empowered by divine grace, and that their success will not be by chance, but by God's design. Moreover, surrender opens the door to divine creativity. When we try to control every outcome, we limit ourselves to human possibilities. But when we let God take the lead, we invite possibilities that surpass our imagination. God can do immeasurably more than we ask or think, but this requires a mindset willing to release the reins and trust the unseen hand guiding us forward. In essence, the mindset of a high achiever in God's kingdom is rooted in surrender, a daily choice to trust, obey, and yield. It's a posture that transforms ambition into a sacred calling and turns our journey into a testimony of God's faithfulness and power at work in our lives. Faith-fueled patience is one of the most profound marks of spiritual maturity, yet it is often one of the hardest virtues to practice. In a world obsessed with instant results and quick fixes, the Christian is called to a radically different mindset, one that trusts God's perfect timing, even when the waiting feels long and uncertain. Patience fueled by faith is not mere resignation or passive waiting. It is a vibrant, active trust that God is working behind the scenes even when we cannot see it. This kind of patience carries within it a confident hope that God's promises will come to pass at the appointed time. When we face delays, setbacks, or seasons of silence, our natural tendency is often to grow anxious or frustrated. But faith-fueled patience reminds us that God's schedule is not our schedule. The Creator of time sees the beginning and the end, and He orchestrates everything with eternal wisdom. Waiting on God is not wasted time. It is a vital part of our spiritual formation. It teaches us to depend not on our own strength, but on His sustaining grace. The believer who embraces this patience finds a wellspring of peace in the midst of uncertainty. This kind of patience also deepens our character. Just as gold is refined by fire, our faith is strengthened when it is tested through waiting. The scriptures say that patience produces perseverance, and perseverance leads to maturity and completeness. When we trust God's timing, we learn endurance and grow into the fullness of who He created us to be. It is in these quiet moments of waiting that our faith becomes more than a fleeting emotion. It becomes a settled assurance, anchored in the heart of God. Moreover, faith-fueled patience protects us from making premature decisions that could derail God's plan. Impatience tempts us to take shortcuts, compromise our values, or settle for less than God's best. But when patience is powered by faith, it equips us to remain steadfast, confident that God's timing is perfect and His purpose unchanging. We begin to see waiting not as a barrier but as a necessary pathway to fulfillment. Ultimately, this mindset is a testimony to God's sovereignty and goodness. It declares that no matter how long the wait or how difficult the journey, we believe God is faithful. We trust that He is weaving every moment into a story far greater than we can imagine, and that His timing is always on time. Delays in life often feel like roadblocks, moments when progress seems stalled and dreams appear out of reach. But within the Christian journey, delays take on a deeper divine significance. They are not denials or signs of failure. Rather, they are intentional seasons of preparation orchestrated by God. When God delays an answer or a breakthrough, it is because He is actively working behind the scenes, shaping us, refining us, and equipping us for what lies ahead. This understanding transforms how we view waiting, not as wasted time, but as sacred space for growth. God's delays are often a form of divine preparation. Just as a potter molds clay, God uses these waiting seasons to shape our character, build our faith, and cultivate qualities that cannot be rushed. The dreams and callings He plants within us require readiness before manifestation. Without preparation, the gifts and opportunities we desire may not be sustainable or fully effective. Sometimes the waiting period is designed to strengthen our hearts, deepen our dependence on God, and teach us patience and humility. Moreover, delays protect us from premature blessings or untimely success. Our finite perspective may not grasp the full picture, but God's infinite wisdom knows when the timing is perfect. He sees obstacles we cannot see, and He holds back certain blessings until the moment is right for maximum impact. This divine timing ensures that when the doors finally open, we step into favor, fully prepared and positioned for long-term victory rather than fleeting success. Understanding delays as divine preparation also changes how we respond to discouragement. Waiting can breed frustration and doubt, but when we recognize God's hand at work, we can rest in peace. We learn to trust that nothing is wasted in God's economy, that every season, including the silent ones, has purpose. Our struggles and waiting periods become testimonies of God's faithfulness and perfect plan. This mindset invites believers to embrace waiting with hope and expectation. Instead of questioning why God seems silent, we choose to believe He is actively preparing us. Every delay, every moment of waiting, is a stitch in the fabric of our destiny. It is a divine workshop where God works invisibly, ensuring that when His promises come to light, they will shine with unstoppable brilliance. The journey toward high achievement in God's kingdom is rarely swift or easy. Often, those called to greatness must walk through deep seasons of testing and hiddenness before their purpose is fully revealed. This process is essential because God does not develop greatness apart from endurance. The heavenly vision, the divine calling placed on your life requires earthly endurance. It demands strength to persist when no one sees your struggle, when recognition feels distant, and when the path is shrouded in uncertainty. Endurance is more than physical stamina. It is a spiritual resilience forged in the fires of trial. When you face setbacks, discouragement, or loneliness, God is not absent. Instead, He is using these moments to build a foundation of character, faith, and wisdom. Just as gold is refined through fire, the believer's character is refined through perseverance. The endurance cultivated in hidden seasons prepares you to carry the weight of responsibility and influence that will come with your achievement. Without this preparation, the calling might overwhelm or mislead you. God's ways often seem mysterious because He values the process of transformation as much as the outcome. The waiting period is not an interruption, but a vital part of your spiritual growth. It is during these quiet seasons that God is teaching you humility, dependence, and trust. These lessons are crucial because true leadership and achievement in God's kingdom are never about self-exaltation, but about serving His purpose. The trials you endure now shape you into a vessel fit for the destiny God has planned. Furthermore, this endurance equips you to encourage others. When you emerge from your hidden season, your testimony becomes a beacon of hope for those still waiting. Your perseverance in faith inspires others to trust God's timing and purpose. You become proof that the waiting was not in vain, and that God's promises are faithful. In embracing earthly endurance, you align yourself with the divine rhythm of growth. Your visible success is deeply connected to the invisible work happening within. The greatness you desire is not a shortcut away. It is a journey marked by faithfulness through the unseen. By enduring well, you prepare yourself to walk boldly into the fulfillment of your God-given vision, knowing that the struggles you face now are the very training ground for the victory to come. As you pursue the calling God has placed on your life, understand this: the enemy intensifies his attacks most when your destiny is near. This is no coincidence, but a spiritual reality revealed throughout Scripture and experienced by countless believers. When God's favor and breakthrough are about to manifest, resistance often rises with greater force. The enemy seeks to distract, discourage, and derail you precisely because he knows the power that lies ahead if you remain faithful. Recognizing this pattern is essential for the mindset of a high achiever in the faith. The enemy uses various tactics: fear, doubt, confusion, temptation, and opposition from people, to shake your confidence and make you question God's promises. He tries to wear down your spirit and make the waiting unbearable, hoping you will give up or turn back. But this intensification of spiritual warfare is actually a sign of progress, a divine signal that you are on the brink of breakthrough. It calls for heightened vigilance, prayer, and unwavering trust in God's protection and provision. Spiritual discernment becomes critical at this stage. The high achiever is not naive, but aware of the enemy's schemes. They understand that opposition is not personal rejection, but a battle for the fulfillment of God's purpose. This knowledge empowers them to stand firm, resisting fear and discouragement with faith-filled prayer and declarations of God's promises. Instead of shrinking back, they press forward, knowing that God's strength is made perfect in weakness. Moreover, this period of intensified attack refines your character and strengthens your spiritual muscles. Just as a diamond is shaped under pressure, your faith and resolve are sharpened through these challenges. The enemy's attempts to stop you only highlight the importance of your calling and the power behind it. When you endure these attacks and remain steadfast, you testify to the faithfulness and sovereignty of God. Understanding that opposition often precedes blessing helps you embrace trials with a different perspective. You no longer see difficulties as signs of failure, but as part of the spiritual battle that guards your victory. This mindset transforms fear into courage and discouragement into determination, equipping you to walk boldly toward the destiny God has prepared. In the end, your enemy's efforts to stop you will only confirm that you are on the path of God's favor, and your enemy will fall. God's timing is perfect because it flows from an eternal perspective, one that far surpasses our limited human understanding. When we trust in God's timing, we are not simply waiting passively. We are aligning ourselves with a divine rhythm that considers all things, past, present, and future, in perfect harmony. Unlike us, who often rush or grow impatient, God sees the fullness of our lives, the consequences of every decision, and the ultimate outcome of every event. His timing is never accidental or delayed. It is precise and intentional, designed for our greatest good and His glory. Trusting God's timing means embracing the reality that His plans are higher than ours. Sometimes we want immediate answers, quick results, or instant breakthroughs. But God's delay is often a protective measure. He knows what we are not ready for, what could harm us if given too soon, or what blessings could lose their impact if prematurely received. In His perfect wisdom, He prepares the way, orchestrates circumstances, and moves hearts according to His sovereign will. This divine patience invites us to grow in faith, depend on Him more deeply, and experience His faithfulness in ways we might have missed if everything happened according to our timetable. When we accept God's timing, we also learn to let go of anxiety and control. We stop trying to force outcomes or manipulate situations, and instead we surrender our plans to the One who holds all things together. This surrender is an act of worship, acknowledging that God is not only powerful, but also good, loving, and faithful. It frees us from the stress of impatience and invites peace to guard our hearts. We begin to live with hope, not despair, knowing that what God has promised will come to pass at the perfect moment. Furthermore, trusting God's timing aligns us with eternal realities rather than temporary circumstances. What may seem like delay or failure in the moment often leads to unimaginable blessings and growth in the long run. We are reminded that our lives are part of a bigger story, one written by God with a purpose beyond what we see. This eternal perspective helps us to keep going, to remain faithful, and to embrace the journey, knowing that God's timing is always on time. Ultimately, trusting God's timing is an act of faith that declares we believe God's vision for our lives is worth the wait, that His plan is flawless, and that His love never fails. It calls us to live patiently, hope boldly, and walk confidently, knowing that our faithful God is working all things together for good, even when we cannot yet see the full picture. As we reflect on the mindset of high achievers, it becomes clear that true success in God's kingdom is not measured by speed or worldly accolades, but by a heart surrendered to His will and a spirit anchored in unwavering faith. God's work in your life is unfolding perfectly, even when the timing seems unclear. Every delay, every test, every moment of waiting is part of His divine preparation, refining you into the person equipped for the calling He has placed upon you. The challenges you face are not obstacles, but opportunities to grow stronger, more patient, and more trusting. Remember, the enemy's fiercest attacks often come when victory is near. So stand firm in faith, knowing that God's timing is always perfect. Trust Him, for He is working all things together for your good and His glory. Your breakthrough is coming, and your destiny will be fulfilled, because God's timing is never late, it is always just right. Thank you for joining me today and allowing this message to encourage your spirit and strengthen your faith. May you walk away with renewed confidence to trust God's timing and embrace His process. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. God is faithfully working in your life. Keep your eyes fixed on Him, and may His peace and power guide you every step of the way. God bless you richly.